Hi everyone, I'm Valerie. I'm here with Linda from Color Storms Yarn, and we're going to talk about WheeshtE by Kate Davies. We have a weekly book club, and today we're talking about chapter 2.
Yeah, chapter 2 is called Feel Uninspired.
Hmm.
So she talks about taking a look at our least favorite colors or taking a look at our least favorite different things in our lives that we have to deal with that we don't like. And she takes her least favorite brambles and turns it into a sweater, which is just beautiful, beautiful. One of her assignments was to work with some colors that you don't like. She had 5 variations of this Fair pattern, and I was supposed to pick the least favorite and knit it up. So I have a bigger stash of worsted weight, so I managed to find pretty much every color on her chart, and I thought this was the ugliest one.
So can you talk about, it looks like there's yellow, green, light blue, a dusty rose, a tan. Did I miss a color? And a dark blue,
Right.
right? Really interesting colors. They
Yeah.
look very similar from a contrast standpoint. Like everything sort of blends together except the blue that pops out of the rose color.
Right, which is very odd, isn't it? I think part of the reason why it's ugly is because the the green is not a true green, that light blue is not a true blue, and so there's not much contrast. It's hard to see the pattern. And she must not like light green because she has a whole couple paragraphs about right why light green is an ugly color. Very sweet. Um In the end, I thought I would see if I could change just one color
Mhm.
and improve the situation. And I wanted to change the light blue, but my youngest daughter, Bethany, said, "No, Mom, change out the green. The green is really ugly." So I guess she agrees with Kate Davies. The light green is just an ugly color. So certainly it makes the pattern stand out better. Having that dark blue shows off kind of the circular pattern there, and it goes with the center line. The center line now makes more sense. There's fewer colors. Sometimes something is ugly if you just have too many of something. It's prettier if you just sort of focus. So here it's kind of focused on 2 blues and white, and the yellow is just a tiny hint of something.
You can, I mean, on the camera, I can definitely see the pattern, the motif more clearly. And that bold outline of the dark blue is what sticks out to me. It's harder to differentiate the light blue and the white or the cream color. Like those blend really together. But I like the yellow against the dark blue because it actually makes the yellow pop a little bit to
Oh, you're
me.
right. You're right. And I think I changed the cream to a brighter white here. So I guess I did make 2
Oh,
changes.
interesting.
I didn't notice that at first. But you're right. I think the yellow being
Yep.
complementary does help that blue to pop out.
Interesting. Had you ever done anything like that before?
Maybe once a few years
Mm.
ago, but I couldn't find my sample and I forgot about it, so I just wanted to try it again. Um, so what were your thoughts about chapter 2?
Well, I mean, springboarding off of your little swatch project, I had done something similar with a craftsy class that Franklin Habit taught, where same idea. We had a Fair Isle motif and we had to like pick the colors and then see what we thought and then try and change the colors. And At the time, I felt like it was an epic fail. I really did not like the exercise. I didn't have fun. Um, the colors I picked didn't look good together. So in that moment, I got really discouraged and I've never tried it again. But like thinking about it, I learned from that experience. Like it was it was good for me to do that. And even though I didn't get like this satisfying result, I still learned a lot from doing it.
Do you think you've figured out why you didn't like the colors that were in the swatch?
No.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, there were exercises like 4 or 5 swatches to try. And like I just tried to do his direction instead of like picking colors I liked. I really tried to follow his direction about the exercise and what we were supposed to be learning, because I felt like that I was sort of challenging myself that way.
Hmm. Not just go in blank and just take in everything he was offering, kind of a thing.
Yeah. And so in that way, the fact that I did it and I followed the directions was satisfying the challenge for myself, but I didn't like the result of the colors that I picked and what that ended up looking like. And it's hard to tell when I go through my yarn that I own, it's hard to tell. I have definite preferences, and my entire yarn colors are the same color, the same tone. So in situations where you're trying to challenge your color perception and experience, for me that's harder because I have a narrower palette. It's not like paints where you have the 10 colors and you mix. Like for me, I didn't have that wide breadth of colors.
Okay. But in the end, you're glad you took the class. You think you got something out of it.
I think so, because it ties in with what Kate is talking about, and I've actually done that before, so that's really interesting to me.
Okay. Yeah, I remember once I went to a cabbie show, cabbie being a brand of clothing, and you go to somebody's house and they bring out trunkfuls full of clothes that you try on, and a little bit like the old Tupperware model where the more I buy benefits my hostess and she gets discounts off her clothes. I had never done anything like that, so I did it for my cousin. And my main goal at that party was to try to find a different color that I look good in because I'm a winter. So I typically look good in dark colors and you know, cool shades. And I was determined to try to find a different color to wear. And I did. I found kind of a rust.
Oh,
Like this pink is not the best shade for my skin color, but it's okay. And but if you get a little slightly darker, redder rust shade of pink, then that's the color that I learned that does also look good on my skin. Um, but you're right. I still get really excited about reds, oranges, and yellows. And at the Sheep and Wool Festival, I bought this pot holder that I should probably bring and show you. There's just no other way to. I was only going over there for 2.5 hours, so I didn't want to buy much, but I saw this thing and I had to buy it. I'll be
wow.
right back. I'll be right
Okay.
back. Ah,
Oh, I
this is
love that.
this is why my company is called Color Storms.
Mm-hmm. It's so good.
This is just me.
It's true. All those big, bright colors.
So I picked
It's
this up and I
cool.
said, I must have this.
Yeah. It's great.
So none of those colors are here.
That's also true.
Very warm colors. I guess, like uncommitted blah colors, like colors that are so blasé they can't commit to being themselves. These colors have no fear of commitment.
None. It's very deep and saturated for sure.
Except that one blue, right? Of course, that's the color that I picked to put up on the top.
Uh-huh. That's really funny.
So you want to talk a little bit about YarnCentric and what went well or what was surprising? This chapter is kind of it's about seeing difficult things in a new way.
Well, we had so the first weekend in May is always very unpredictable from a weather standpoint. It's either sweltering hot and humid or cold and rainy. And, you know, we don't have any control over the weather. So this is something that we know exists, and we're all very familiar with the situation in Maryland. But Friday was YarnCentric, and it was a fiber festival before Maryland Sheep and Wool on Saturday and Sunday. Very close proximity to each other, but it was torrential downpour this year. And when I say torrential downpour, it was even more rain than usual.
It was.
So that was less than ideal and also completely out of our control. But the silver lining is that we had, I felt, the best vendors. Everybody showed up despite the weather situation, and knitters and crocheters are dedicated. We had really good shoppers, happy customers. People still came out to see what was happening, and that was really exciting. And to me, it just shows that knitters and crocheters are so determined and will take every opportunity. It's all these things like the sense of community. This is our people. This is, if we think about this in a sports framework, like YarnCentric was the pre-party, Maryland Sheep and Wool was the game, and it's that kind of level that we're talking about within the fiber fandom.
Yes.
Of these events. And what's really interesting is the overall sense of community. Like, customers came in groups, single customers met other customers, like everybody helped each other out. And even from a vendor perspective, I saw teamwork among people and really a good sense of community, and that was so special.
Yes, being one of the vendors there, I was happy to be part of that community. One of them helped me pack up at the end of the day. And to the point of the chapter, that rainy background just showed off all those colors so well. I mean, sometimes I just stood up, I got out of my seat to talk to customers, or just sometimes to stand and look around. And through the sheets of rain, I could just see colors everywhere. Yeah, it was a landscape of colors that looked even more beautiful against that rainy backdrop. So there's that really negative thing, like you were saying, an ugly color can help make a pretty color shine better. And suddenly, as long as you were warm enough, you could look on the bright side and just stand up and admire all those colors. And I ended up using some of my samples to keep me warm. I hadn't put all my samples out. So I was like, wait, I think I have a hat that I haven't put out. I put on one of my sample hats. I put on one of my sample cows that I hadn't already put on display, and it helped me stay warmer.
Yeah, that's
And I
very
could
good.
appreciate the rain as a backdrop.
Yeah, it was sort of like that bright but not bright, like perfect photography light level, but I'm not a photographer, so I don't know the technical term for that.
Yeah, I and everybody else took pictures of their little shop, of their little booth setup, and put it on Instagram or somewhere on Facebook, and I'm sure the pictures turned out beautifully. I think you're right. And I hadn't even really realized why. So, good thoughts about chapter 2, and thank you everyone for joining us. I hope you're having a pretty day, or can look at your rainy day in a happier way. We need support from one another, though, sometimes to make that happen. And so we certainly wish everyone out there the best, and keep knitting, keep looking for those creative moments that can make life a little better. Take care. Bye-bye.